of humor none of them asked for. And if you tell them I'm saying these things, I'll deny it. Okay, you're all videotaping now. If you take two morons with swords and do sword combat, what you see is this. Isn't that cool? Nobody's cheering. Do you know why you're not cheering? Because it looked like two 3-year-olds with sticks. Remember I talked about the 3-year-olds with sticks? You kind of hope as they get older, they get better and they're smarter. Not always. But no one's impressed because we're not actually aiming at each other, and if we miss, it doesn't matter. Whoops, what? Because we're not swinging at each other. Gentlemen, when you upset the lady fair in your life, and it will happen, when she gets really angry, she's not going to take that skillet and go, I don't like you anymore! Zing! Over there. Or over there. No, it's coming right down Broadway. Which, on a non-blonde, is a lethal injury.
Right down Broadway, huh?
Which brings us to the next part of sword combat. If someone swings a 3-foot sharpened razor blade violently at your head, through 24 years of serious martial arts study and training, I have developed this amazing technique I want you to watch. You ready? Bring it.
Hey!
You see this? I call it blocking. I highly recommend blocking. Blocking is when the violent person takes their sword, they swing it violently at your head, and you take your sword and you put it between their sword and your face. It doesn't work as well from behind.
Sweetheart, there's a problem with your block, though. And this
No,
block
my block was perfect. It looked really cool. They even took my picture. I was like this. It was awesome.
Here, look, there's a problem with just blocking.
You're right. I should have done the whole.
All right, folks, they say a picture's worth 1,000 words, and you already know he talks too much, so we're just going to show you. Are you ready?
Yeah.
No, here.
Oh, this.
I'm swinging at your head again. Do your cool block.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
All right, hit me back.
You got it, man.
I thought I said there was a problem here.
All right, this sucks. And not in a good way. That's not what I meant.
Sure. You already forgot the part that you talked to him about earlier, where if somebody jumps out with a sword and swings it at your head, you're supposed to...
Look at it, because it's really shiny.
Maybe you guys can help him. You should.
Moo, I heard that. You know, we're from Iowa. That's like a mating call.
Not
Oh, with a V.
Like, get out of the way.
Okay, that makes more sense.
When you do the blocking thing, you're going to do it like math. You're going to
No,
add
I
it to
don't
moving.
do math.
It's easy
If I
math.
wanted to do math, I would have been a stage performer.
It's simple math, though. You're going to add together blocking and moving.
I can't. I'm terrible at math.
Are you sure?
I like farmers. I'm just bad at math. You guys laughed. I've been telling that joke for 6 years, and that's the first time. Wow, talk about a slow blooming joke. So.
All right. Here, I'm going to swing at you again. Block and move. It's going to let you do
Do I have
something
to do them at
cool.
the same time?
Yes.
I can't do that.
Why not?
I'm a man. I cannot do 2 things at once.
All
Don't
right.
be so helpful.
You swing your sword at me then.
I can hit you in sword
Uh-huh.
in front of them.
Uh-huh.
And this is okay.
Sure.
I love this show. All right. So I swing and you're gonna.
I'm gonna block
Yeah,
and move.
blah, whatever. But I can hit you with a sword.
Uh-huh.
After like this.
I win.
Something about that seems off. Let's do it again.
Okay. You swing, I block and move.
Yeah, whatever. Just do it right this time.
Okay.
Ah!
No! I still win. Want to try again? again?
starting to be like our first date. One more time?
Okay.
All right. You might want to come out of the corner. That's my only clock. They can't tell time very well. More math. You ready? It's on this time, though. I'm not pulling this straight.
Okay.
All right. Go! All right, this sucks. Who wrote this part of our script?
That'd be me.
Look, I know you didn't write this part of our show. Do you know how I know? There were no crayon marks anywhere.
It's because you ate all my crayons last night.
Is that what that was? I thought you were cooking again, dear. The bad part is I was going to thank her after the show. Supper last night was better than normal, and I was going to see if we could have the same thing tonight.
That's it. You get no more swords for you.
Oh, you're giving up, huh? These girls can't fight with swords. Now you want to use something maybe a little more of a size you can handle?
You would know.
I hate all of you. Especially you.
No, we won't. We'll go back to his room and cry all weekend.
Are you sure that's where you want to put that?
Funny you should mention that. There were times on the battlefield when the samurai would find himself without their sword. And I mentioned before, unlike today's video games, you couldn't just push pause on the battlefield. You had to keep going. Usually there were 3 reasons why a samurai would lose their sword. Reason number 1, incompetent samurai, and he dropped his sword. We fired that guy. Reason number 2 why samurai would not have his sword, crappy sword, and it broke. We don't buy swords from that guy. The katana was arguably the finest handheld weapon ever crafted. It was designed to stand up against other weapons, human bodies, hard skulls. So they didn't break very often, which leaves us with reason number 3 why a samurai would find himself without a sword. And our personal favorite, I left my sword in that guy. That guy. Because there were times on the battlefield you would skewer your opponent, they'd go, and fall down dead like you did before our first panel. Good acting, by the way. The William Shatner School of Acting.
Woo!
She has no idea who William Shatner is.
No, I do. That's my word.
See?
I wanted to give him a pity. Yay.
But for the samurai, if they found themselves disarmed that way, they couldn't just stop. They had to keep going. For that reason, they carried a backup weapon. It was a single-edged dagger called a tanto.
Wait, the tanto?
No relation to the Lone Ranger. Sorry, we're from Iowa. So the samurai would carry this tanto, sharp, not sharp, as a backup weapon on the battlefield, and they would carry it in the front of their sash. Now, while I demonstrate how you use the tanto, if you see me holding the knife upside down and you're like, God, he's an idiot, he's holding the knife upside down, you may be right. But it's not because of how I'm holding the knife. Okay? The knife was carried edge up while in the sash for a very good reason. You're only going to use this knife under duress. You're being attacked on the battlefield, you don't have a weapon, and you have to be able to grab this weapon, take it out, and use it to devastating effect really quickly. Gentlemen, if you take a sharp knife and put it edge down in the front of your pants, and the only time you need this is under duress, and you yank that out and go, wah! That's a problem there are no little blue pills for. So the knife was carried edge up, and if you were going to use the knife for prolonged amounts of time after you took it out, what you did was this amazing martial arts move. 24 years in the business, I want you to watch this. If you're going to use the knife for longer and you want to have it edge down, you did this move. Watch my thumb. Ask me all you want. That took me a long time to learn.
Not surprising.
It's like you know my mom. So, the knife was worn edge up. The idea in combat was take the knife out and use it to devastating effect as quickly as you can, so you end the fight. Okay? So, I'll show you. Ready? Under the armpit. No armor there. Even though it's your right arm, no right guard. Wow, even the crickets were silent on that one. I use that all the time to cover bad jokes, so as you imagine, I have to use that line a lot. We were at Motaku, which is an anime con in Kansas City, and they actually have a booth there. Please come to Motaku, it's a great time. But I used that on stage last year at Motaku, and the sound guy, even though we don't need mics, because I have a big mouth, shut up. The sound guy was fiddling around back there, and he heard me make that joke. You know, even the crickets were silent on that one. Everybody laughed, and we went on to our show. I made another bad joke, doesn't take long. And it was quiet. He had found a soundbite of crickets. Put it down on the loudspeaker. So I make a joke that dies, and I'm about to go, and you can hear crickets. And I'm still coming back to your con. It's not like I don't get insulted and made fun of by everybody else. But the idea here, knife comes out, you put it to use in a devastating fashion so it ends the fight immediately. You want to try one?
Okay.
You sure?
Yeah.
I mean, you have to put the knife in the place that will do the most damage, not passes. Okay? This may not work too much. Why are you smiling? All right, so attack comes in. Hey, no! Bad!
Do it. You said most damage.
And you know the truth for a guy? Do this first. Because we'd rather die than...
All right, well, how about we do the psycho thing then?
Really? Psycho? That makes you Anthony Perkins? And that makes me the hot naked chicken. You know, the scary part is this crowd is actually seeming to enjoy that image. Alright, so, psycho it is. Attack comes in. Yeah! Which if my wife had a heart, that would I mean, it was not a heartless swan joke. It wasn't. It was a Wizard of Oz joke. You know, the Tin Man? The Tin Man got to wear the armor, had the really shiny axe. You're the Tin Man. You like that? We can trade jobs then. All right. So, well, that makes me, switching jobs, that makes me Anthony Perkins. You know, the psycho man in a dress with a knife. Good typecasting. That makes you the hot naked chicken in the shot. Hey, don't think about it that way. All right, the scary thing is some of you are still picturing me naked with a little bonnet cap. Because clearly I need the little haircut. So, this is what Psycho would have been like. That would make it Janet Leigh. Wasn't that the lady in the shower inside? There's always somebody that remembers that movie, even though that movie is like 4 times as old as you are. I know, I saw it in the theater. No. This is what it would have been like if Janet Leigh had trained in 16th century samurai arts. Mr. Perkins comes flying in with the knife. Hey!
If my husband had a brain, that one could do some damage. It's the scarecrow.
The scarecrow? I'm Michael Jackson! Who's walking in anime company? You saw it here first.
Give me that knife.
And probably last.
That's it.
Actually, that brings us to the last part of our show. Not those. I want the real one. Yes, that one. This is my favorite part of the show. Because I get to play with, no. We kind of did that joke already.
You get the shiny one. Control and VDOS.
And I just actually heard that term last weekend for the first time. I'm like, ADL, what in the world? And the guy goes, you know, attention deficit. Ooh, shiny. Oh, that's awesome. I got to tell my wife, but I forgot.